Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm host and WWE enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing Monday Night Raw, January 8th, 2024 edition. And this episode of Monday Night Raw continued on the road to the Royal Rumble, followed by the road to WrestleMania. It looks like we got some things lined up for Elimination Chamber as well. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with CM Punk, who is fitting in nicely on Monday Night Raw, as everyone that has interacted with him since his return has delivered career-defining promos, Drew McIntyre being the latest and continuing his rise as a top bad guy on Monday Night Raw. So when WWE signed Punk to a loaded Raw roster with many stars, it would have been easy for him to not get lost in the shuffle, but also, mainly just get lost in the shuffle, but instead he's actually found himself a pretty good, he's got a pretty good spot, and he's able to elevate those around him by association. Think about Seth Rollins, think about Drew McIntyre. Both guys stepped up and cut promos on him that got the internet buzzing. The potential big matches continue to pile for Punk beyond the Royal Rumble. A clash with McIntyre could be huge for Elimination Chamber, building Punk towards a match against Rollins at WrestleMania. Even if that's not the plan, McIntyre got back on the horse after a frustrating loss last week. Punk just needed his presence to kind of help pick McIntyre back up after a tough loss. I don't know, Reddit seems to think that that Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins will run it back one more time in an I Quit match, which I don't want to believe that because that seems unnecessary, but I can imagine but what I will believe in is CM Punk, thinking that CM Punk competing at Elimination Chamber. That's a big show, I can admit. I'd have to think he's there. The question is, who does he face? Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. Is this going to be the Women's World Championship match at Elimination Chamber? Doesn't look like we're getting one at the Royal Rumble. Nia Jax is competing in said Rumble, but Rhea Ripley's going to be at the Elimination Chamber. The question is, who does she face? Nia Jax looks like the most likely opponent as of right now. So Rhea Ripley is the biggest Australian star in WWE, and she should main event Elimination Chamber, not just because she's because she is the biggest Australian star. The best challenger for her at the moment is Nia Jax, who made an example out of the Eradicator in her return, and has now challenged her again. They had a confrontation in the ring on Monday Night Raw. And with all the good work that Jax has done since returning to WWE in September, the stage has been set for Mami to face the Irresistible Force at the Opus Center in Western Australia. Another option could be to save this matchup for WrestleMania, but Becky Lynch would make sense as a more natural opponent for either Ripley or Jax at WrestleMania. That sets up a course for Raw to make the road to WrestleMania memorable for some of the top names in the women's division. I think Ripley versus Jax probably going to happen at Elimination Chamber. That one, I think Lynch versus Ripley is more likely for WrestleMania. So that's kind of, eventually it's not Jax as the odd woman out, but I'm sure they can find something for her. Excuse me. Judgment Day. Is it time for new tag team champions? So Tommaso Ciampa got a win over Finn Balor, and since pairing up with Johnny Gargano once again, is gaining credibility that could lead to him winning gold alongside Gargano. DIY can be a tag team to get a division that has been overshadowed by Judgment Day back on track, with Damian Priest considered primarily focused on cashing in the Money to Bank briefcase. Finn Balor is at the moment the odd man out and could certainly use some fresh direction, but while he holds the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, he cannot do that. So the best path forward would be for them to drop the titles and probably split up the tag team titles and let Raw and SmackDown try again with separate divisions and separate champions. The first step would be DIY capturing the gold, which would be an upset sure, but a welcome one. They can defend the belts regularly, focused on the division rather than any larger drama such as R-Truth, which is not a bad thing. That's certainly hilarious drama. But in Gargano do not dethrone the Judgment Day, another team should step up because the Judgment Day probably shouldn't have the tag team gold going into WrestleMania. They don't really need it, and I don't know if it's a good thing for the division. Shinsuke Nakamura. Time in the main event scene is probably over for Shinsuke Nakamura with his latest loss, this time to Cody Rhodes in a street fight. In late 2023, Shinsuke Nakamura seemed to finally put it all together, but a series of losses to top names has established a clear message. The artist is not a main event act, whether he was working with Seth Rollins and challenging him for the World Heavyweight Championship, or with Cody Rhodes. In the end, he was all talk. His matches for both men were solid matches, but the result was never in question. Nakamura has been outmatched by top names in the business, and as such, he legitimately takes a hit. So if you were to try to pair him again with some other top names like CM Punk or Sami Zayn, well, it's just not going to work because, again, his credibility is pretty much shot at this point. The year is more likely to push the artist back into the mid-card scene where he has worked much of his career. Hopefully his presentation can remain the same, even if he ends up working with lower-level competition. Cody Rhodes, meanwhile, needs to start his journey to WrestleMania, where he somehow finds a way to challenge Roman Reigns again. Reddit seems to think he's going to be competing in the Elimination Chamber match and possibly winning that match, and I guess that's one way to do it. Or maybe not just Reddit, but I've heard that one floated around, and that one certainly makes sense. So in conclusion, Monday's Raw was a standard episode of the weekly show, but it had a couple of standout moments sprinkled throughout the show. R-Truth continues to be a highlight every week in the segments with the Judgment Day, but Monday's show took things to another level with the video package that was produced. Otis and Ivar delivered a couple of memorable moments, but Rhodes and Nakamura stole the show with their main event street fight. The Royal Rumble is just a few weeks away, but WWE has already done a lot of planning to set things up. So the next few weeks we do more about building the existing stories and adding new ones. And with that will conclude this episode of the WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.